Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today we are talking about the movie The Invitation. So this is going to be a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie and you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go and watch the movie first before you watch this review. So The Invitation is a horror movie about a young woman from America who finds a long-lost British relative who invites her to this lavish British estates. And well, things are not quite what they seem. As I said, I will be talking about spoilers in this one. So as far as what I liked about the movie, overall, I liked the cast. Nathalie Emmanuel in the lead role. I'm familiar with her from Game of Thrones. She played Missandei, and I also knew her on a British show called Misfits, which I liked her on as well. Thomas Doherty plays the love interest, the lead, the Duke or Earl or whatever he is, the guy who owns the manor that they're at. Stephanie Corneliuson is in here as another woman who is one of his other wives, I suppose. Alana Bodden, I liked her as well. And so Stephanie Corneliuson, I know her from Mr. Robot. She was on that show. Alana Bodden, I'm not familiar with her, but she was good in this. And Sean Pertwee, who is the guy who played Alfred on Gotham, plays the butler on this. So it was kind of funny to see him playing a butler character again. Although in this case, sort of a racist butler character, but pretty much just Alfred, like racist Alfred. So that was funny. And then we got Courtney Taylor, played her friend Grace. I liked her as well, mostly. So overall, I like the idea for the story. This idea of an American or somebody from an outside kind of place being invited to a strange place. We've seen this before. It's not dissimilar from like Midsummer, which came out recently, or Get Out was kind of like that. There's a couple movies that this kind of reminded me of. Ready or Not, which came out a couple years ago. Sort of similar premises: a boyfriend or girlfriend going to meet the family. Although I guess this isn't a boyfriend girlfriend, but still same sort of idea. And I like the idea. I thought when I saw the trailer for this, I'm like, oh, it's an interesting premise. And I actually really liked the first 10 minutes or so of this movie. I thought it looked nice. The cinematography was good. The way it was set up, the way the shots were composed and everything. I'm like, okay, I know this is kind of a low budget, kind of schlocky B movie, but it looked pretty competent. It looked well made, and I was pretty invested in it. I liked the characterizations, the way they sort of showed her and her friend working as the waitresses or whatever, servers at sort of this fancy kind of place where the people are very uppity and rich and kind of think they own everything, and the guys are kind of groping them and stuff. So yeah, I thought it really set up the characters well and sort of explained who she was. They show her throwing clay because she's not a pottery. She's into ceramics. I think is what she corrects. So, and that was cool too. I like knowing the character has this sort of creative outlet and is a creative person. Like endears me to them and makes me care about them more. So I like that. I like the little inclusion of Mina and Jonathan Harker in there. That was in the trailer, and so as soon as I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, hey, Dracula. I get it. Those are characters from the Bram Stoker book Dracula. And obviously the trailer did sort of, I think it was pretty obvious that this was a vampire movie from the trailer. I kind of maybe wish they wouldn't have done that, but we'll talk about that more later. There's a line in here where her friend tells her not to trust guys with goatees, and I thought that was funny because always good advice. There's a famous quote out there from I don't know, Queen Victoria or something: "Never trust a man with a goatee." So yeah, don't. Guys with goatees, unscrupulous, terrible people. Don't trust them. I like sort of the ideas and the themes about class. It's pretty obvious in this movie, but seeing somebody who grew up struggling, kind of poor working class, and meeting all these very rich sort of people, and this guy who pretty much can buy whatever he wants. Interesting idea. And I like the way they kind of set it up. I like the way that we had an outsider kind of coming in and seeing these people, as opposed to a movie just about rich people. I like the scenes in the beginning with the staff where she like accidentally bumps into her and breaks some glasses and asks for her name and everything, but then the butler comes up and he doesn't know that whole scene I thought a little obvious, a little broad, but I liked it. It kind of helped to set up what was going on. It showed that I don't know. And the butler could have handled it better even after he figured it out, but he was still kind of rude about it. And then it gave us a reason for the main guy, the Duke or whatever he was, to come up and talk to the main character some more. That was good. I liked the music in this movie mostly. It was music I wasn't familiar with. I hadn't heard before. It was possibly a rights thing or a monetary kind of thing, because obviously cheaper to get less popular music, or maybe it's just stuff I hadn't heard. But for the most part, I liked it. It wasn't too offensive or anything like that. And overall, like I said before, really liked the cinematography. I think it looked really well made. well produced for the most part movie. As far as what I didn't like about the movie, I didn't really like, as much as I said I liked the cinematography, and I think I actually mostly liked the direction. I think it was the editing I sort of had an issue with. There was a few scenes where they just didn't come across as right. And I really think it was just more the way the scenes were cut, the amount of time between lines between actors and sort of reaction time and stuff like that, which is all pretty minor stuff. But it's funny how much it really affects a performance and sort of the film itself. So I don't know. I don't know if it was the editor struggling or just the performance. The performances seemed okay to me though. So I don't know, maybe just Nathalie Emmanuel had pissed off one of the editors and they were upset with her or what, I don't know. But some of the editing seemed a little off to me. And Nathalie Emmanuel, again, like I liked her in this. I think she's a decent actress. She's very pretty. And I'll watch her do anything. But yeah, there's definitely some scenes. The first one that struck me was when she was talking to her friend on the phone. And the first couple of scenes she had with her friend when they were interacting in person, I thought were pretty good. They were fine. But when she was talking to her on the phone, it seemed fake. It seemed like, she was faking talking on the phone, which I realized is kind of a hard scene to shoot. So I kind of gave her a little bit of leeway there. And then the prince or whatever he is, that guy shows up. And again, the little flirty scene between them was a little awkward. It didn't quite work. Those are hard to work out. Again, I think it really had more to do with editing and sort of maybe the way it was shot a little bit, and less so with the performances, but I can't say for sure. And then, yeah, anytime she was on the phone with her friend seemed just not very realistic to me. And there was also a couple times where she was sort of yelling or getting upset. And she's a British actress who's playing an American person in England. So I think maybe that was a little bit of it. She's trying to do a different accent than her normal one. And I also I question the logic of hiring a British actress to play an American. I mean, obviously it's fine. It happens all the time. But in this case, it would have maybe been better to get an actual American. Nothing against her. I like her, like I said. But yeah, some of her scenes could have been a little bit better, I think. The sound mixing in this movie I didn't like. It was just very, very loud. The sound effects were just too loud. I realized it's a horror movie, they're trying to scare you, but they would do it even in non-scary scenes, just in the beginning where they would just show stuff happening. Like I said, the love story really didn't work for me. I think it was just a little bit because there wasn't a lot of chemistry between the two of them. There's sort of a scene where they kiss where it doesn't look passionate or romantic at all. It looks more clinical than anything. And I thought the relationship, the way that it escalated, didn't really make a lot of sense to me. The guy just kind of, to me, and again, I have no idea what women are looking for, but to me, the guy came across as a little too controlling, where he's like, oh, wear this dress, oh, do this, do that. And then, of course, when he forced her in, or tried to force her into marriage, that is obviously too controlling. But to me, it seemed very obvious from the get-go, like, oh, this guy is not very good at communicating. He just leaves you notes, wear this dress. And I guess maybe some women like that. Maybe she found that mysterious or appealing. I don't know. But to me, again, I realize maybe this movie isn't made for me. I'm not the core audience for this. But yeah, to me, that guy would not have seduced me. No, not acting like that, buddy. You got to be funny. You got to be charming. You got to give me a little more. And the guy said he was terrible and he had no redeeming qualities. So like Maya Angelou said, when people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. I don't know if that's a right quote, something like that. Also, when I saw that it was going to be a British movie and her British cousin shows up and everything, I'm like, oh, cool, we're going to get some good British humor. That classic, kind of stiff upper lip, very dry, very, sophisticated kind of British humor. And I did not see much of it in here, really. The movie, I don't think it was written or directed by British people either. I'm not sure. Blair, we can talk more about the writing later, but I know Blair Butler is American. So yeah, I was looking forward to seeing some of that classic kind of British humor that you would get from, a Simon Pegg or David Mitchell or any of the people that I watch on the many, many British, shows like Taskmaster and 9 out of 10 Cats and all that. But no, I didn't really get that so much. The main character's decision-making skills are questionable. I understand that happens and you need to have a movie, but it's always a little difficult when the character just does dumb things. Or like when she finds out that the guy had a dossier on her or whatever, and she just kind of forgave him a little too quickly for me, a little too simply. And she kind of fell in love a little too easily. Now, this could have been explained by the fact that he is a vampire and he was, hypnotizing her. He was using his vampire powers to make her fall in love or to make her more susceptible. If that is the case, they did not explain that, at least not that I saw. So Yeah, I was willing to again. I was giving this movie every possible chance I could, every possible leeway. I'm like, oh, it's a B movie. It's it's a schlocky kind of, it's like a Hammer film. Just let it, like whatever, just let it go. It's fine. But yeah, there was definitely a couple times where that was a little frustrating. Also, the vampire rules aren't exactly explained, which I don't know. I guess maybe. I like that kind of stuff. I like that world building. So when we don't know, they're like, oh no, we can go outside. Like, oh no. And then like the two women got staked, but not exactly through the heart. It was sort of above the heart. So I mean, I guess that would kill you. And then the guy gets burned. And yeah, I mean, burning would kill almost anything. But generally speaking, there's a mythology to vampires, and the fact that it is calling, back to Mina and Jonathan Harker and Bram Stoker and some other little Easter eggs, then it's weird that they're like, yeah, no, and every vampire movie does that. They're like, oh no, garlic doesn't kill us, or we can see our reflections, or whatever. That's fine, but if you're going to do that, I like it to be explained a little bit more. So I'm like, okay, what are your rules to your vampire world? And in this case, they're more or less, you can figure them out from context, but I guess I would have liked a little expository scene where somebody sat down and was like, check it out. So this is what vampires are really like, Maybe it's a little cliche, but I like to know what the rules are. There is the masks and the costumes. So a lot of people wear these masks in this movie. I think they all look kind of silly. And then there's the costume that the guy who's marrying them, the priest or whatever, is wearing, and he almost looked like a Sub-Zero type character, or Smoke, or like one of those random like ninjas from a Mortal Kombat movie or something. It's just very weird and awkward, not a place looking to me at least. I did not like the way the action scenes were shot in this movie. An issue I have with a lot of movies with action scenes is the action shot very close, so you can't really see what's going on, and then they do the shaky cam kind of thing. And it's something I first really noticed, I think, Christopher Nolan in Batman Begins. I'm sure other people do it. And ever since then, I've noticed it a lot. So that's kind of a pet peeve of mine personally. It seems like something people do when they're unfamiliar with how to shoot action movies. So, kind of, oh, shaky cam, and you can't really tell what's going on. I guess it kind of works to convey the point, but I like a nice, action scene where it breathes, where you can see what's going on, where like, you can understand where the characters are in relation to each other and what, consequences their actions have and stuff like that. Like I said, the phone calls with their friend were very fake to me, and it just didn't seem very realistic. The movie's very predictable. I think I pretty much knew exactly what was going to happen, and could have called it from the very beginning. The trailer, like I said, gave way too much away. There's a part where she sucks the blood out of her finger, which is pretty obvious. And then there's another thing I don't remember, but another very obvious thing. And then, of course, the Mina Harker thing. As soon as I heard that, and anyone's read the books, and like, oh, that's a little bit more of a deep cut, but still pretty very. And I don't think they were trying to hide that or anything. It would have been kind of cool if they didn't. Granted, I don't know if people would have shown up if they would have known that it was a vampire thing, or maybe if they would have hinted at it a little bit more subtly. But yeah, the movie is a little too long. It's about an hour 45, I think. And I think if it would have been an hour 30, it would have been a little more palatable, a little easier. And in a lot of ways, this kind of felt like a made-for-TV movie to me. Like a TV of the week kind of thing, or even almost like a backdoor pilot, because even the ending of the movie has this sort of thing where the lead character has got short hair now, and I don't know if the actress had cut her hair in between, or if they did that on purpose to show the passage of time, or what there, or if she always had short hair and was just wearing a wig, because I don't know, I'm bad at spotting wigs, but yeah, it almost seemed like they were trying to set up like a series or something, or the next movie where they're like, yep, we got to go get this guy now. Yeah. Oh, also, I forgot to mention the main guy, he's always making this very smug face with duck lips. I don't know if that's just the way he looks, but he's just always like, hmm. And then the other guy is always just doing this kind of weird face. I don't know if that's what's going on with them, but that kind of annoyed me too. The two main British guys, her cousin and the love interest type guy. So other than that, the movie is directed by Jessica M. Thompson. She hasn't done much before. There's some TV stuff, and then a movie called The Light of the Moon. Which I've heard good things about. I haven't seen, but I'm sort of interested in checking it out. This movie, for the most part, I liked the way it was directed, and it was very kind of atmospheric and cool looking. But I just had some issues with the acting, I guess, and the story overall. So the story, I believe she wrote it along with Blair Butler. And Blair Butler, or I might be wrong, it might have just been Blair Butler, but I know her from G4 Attack of the Show. She used to host a segment on there called Fresh Ink. And then since then, she's done some other stuff, like a movie called Hellfest and Polaroid. She's done some TV and stuff like that. So yeah, so it was kind of funny when I saw her name. I'm like, oh, is that the same Blair Butler? And sure enough, it was the same Blair Butler. So good for her. She seemed nice. I always liked her opinions on comics, and she seemed like she knew what she was talking about there. So yeah, I was excited to see her name on a big movie. Movie is rated PG-13. I kind of forgot that until I was watching, and there's a scene where she's talking to her friend on the phone, and she goes, "What the freak is a strike?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute, people don't talk like that." And I go, "Is this a PG-13 movie?" That being said, for a PG-13 movie, I think they got away with a fair amount. There's some brief nudity, more than I would have expected in a PG-13 movie. The violence is decent. It's not too distracting. There's definitely some early scenes where a lot of the kills are in the dark, recorded, very dark kind of. It's hard to tell what's going on. So maybe that was done to keep the PG-13 rating. But yeah, the ending was pretty, fire and stuff. It didn't really bother me. I didn't really notice too much that it was PG-13. And I do feel like, with that in mind, if this movie came out and I was in high school, and wanted to take a girl on a date or something like that, yeah, I think I would have probably enjoyed this movie. There's a little bit of romance in there. It's scary enough. I think, people are into like Twilight or something like that, or people who don't like Twilight. I kind of like this movie. It was filmed in Budapest. And it looks like they may have actually filmed at a real castle. Although it did look a little too clean, so maybe it was a miniature and I'm stupid. But they had a lot of like these kind of crane shots or helicopter shots, these maybe drone shots, but these big shots of the castle that they used several times. Which I was like, okay, cool. They're very proud of that shot. So I assume it was because it was real and not because it was a miniature, but who knows? I'm not always good at spotting that. Movie had a $10 million budget, so a pretty small budget, and it's very likely going to make it back. I think it's might hit 10 million just this weekend alone. So good for them. Horror movies are one of the few movies that can kind of come out with a low budget and still get their money back because people show up for horror, and it is always nice to see something somewhat original. Granted, it's based on Dracula, which is a well-known IP, but yeah, it's always good to see something original here. At one point, I guess Garrett Hedlund was supposed to play the main character, the main guy, but he wasn't able to. And Sam Raimi, his production company, was actually producing it early on, but then timing issues, and then they ended up not being involved. So overall in this movie, I think I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I think it was okay, not bad. I'm in between a 5 and a 6. I think yeah, I think you know what, I'll bump it up to a 6. Why not? We'll give it a 6. I like Blair Butler. It was fine. If it were on TV, I think it would have been like, yeah, okay, that's fine movie. I didn't regret watching it. Going to the theater and paying for it, maybe a bit too much, but yeah, wait till it comes out on VOD or something like that. I don't think it'd be bad, or watching it just on a random Tuesday afternoon or something. So if you saw the movie, tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you again next week.